The following program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision. It's time now for the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Here's your host for the program, Joseph J. Zoppi.
Hello, welcome to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, a real estate investor, consumer advocate, author, and managing partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You could reach us at templarcashforhouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. Or you could call us at 973-315-7990. Again, that's 973-315-7990, and we could answer any questions you may have, or you could email us from our website. My company is a real estate investment firm. We buy houses for cash. We purchase apartment buildings. We do joint ventures with other real estate investors. We loan money for rehabs and provide transactional and gap funding. We work with individuals that want to invest with us in single-family houses up to apartment buildings. We do not speculate, and we're very protective of our money and our investors' money. I'm not a real estate agent, and we're not a brokerage, but I have individuals that's on staff that are agents that could sell your house through the traditional multiple listing service. This show will go over everything there is about real estate and those things that impact real estate. We'll talk about our rehabs, some of our investments, what went well, what did not go well, and especially how we learned from them and adjusted accordingly. We'll talk about the economy and interest rates. We'll discuss trends in the real estate market. Real estate is one of your biggest investments, so it's important you know as much as possible about it. I'm providing my opinion. It's only my opinion. I ask everyone to do lots of research for any financial matters, real estate matters, whatever the case may be. But it's very, very important you do the research. Now, on the flip side, the problem sometimes with research is you get so much information, you're not sure what the answer is. So I've had that happen a lot of times, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do. And it is kind of tough sometimes. Sometimes you just got to take a step back and not do anything if on certain situations, and just have some time to think it over, because there's just so much information out there, and it's really hard to sometimes figure out what is right, what is wrong. A lot of people that write have very good arguments why something should be a certain way, and then you read something else on the contrary and say, well, that's a good point too. So, research and making a decision isn't always that easy. The other thing I always say is that, remember, there's a lot of people and a lot of companies that are out there that are very average. That's just the way it is. It's, there's a lot of average, and then there's some really good companies and individuals, and then there's some that are not good at all. So that's always difficult to figure out who's really the cream of the crop and who's just average, because we all don't want to use average. So that's very important. The other thing is just because a family friend is a so-called expert, just be wary of that as well. Especially when you're dealing with real estate or your financial investments. I know a lot of people that said, well, my friend's brother is a investor or a real estate or a financial investor, and he can invest my money, so on and so forth. Just really, really be wary of that. Sometimes it's better not to have someone that's too close to you, because if there's a problem, and what are you going to do? And that's always the issue. And sometimes you say, well, I have to do it because it's my friend or it's my family member, so on and so forth. And I'm not saying that's not difficult, but just be really wary of it, and just tread lightly. I was using a public relations firm not that long ago, and a good friend of mine, his daughter is VP in a PR firm, and I would have wanted to go with them, but I thought that it was just too close in terms of my relationship to my good friend, so I went with another company as a result of that. And I think it was the right thing to do, and I think it's for the best. Even though their company is very, very good, there's a number of good companies, no matter what it is, out there, and good individuals, and you just have to really take your time and try to select the right one. Also, I'd like to do a shout out to Paulette and Jimmy G and Samantha V, some of my listeners. So they're always commenting, and thank you very much for that. Again, we always do everything very privately and very discreet. If there's any issues at all, we don't share names or anything like that with anyone. Any discussion we have is very private, and that's very, very important to us, and who we are. We're very sensitive with that. If you need to sell your house fast for cash, please give us a call. Even if you just need to sell your house, please give us a call. We buy houses all the time for cash. That's one of the biggest things we do. But with the market where it is, we're just selling a lot of houses through the traditional multiple listing service as well. And I'll talk a little bit later about what I think the future is for that, the immediate future at least. But please, give us a call, and I'll send someone out, or I'll be out there to visit your house, and we talk. Again, there's no obligation, and it's an easy process, and we just talk. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just to understand people's challenges and what they want to get out of the transaction. Some is more towards speed, and others are for the top dollar. So, there's different scenarios for that, and we'll work with you on that. Also, if you're interested in investing passively in real estate, please give us a call on that. Second thing is, if you know of someone that needs to sell their house fast for cash, or there's an apartment building that a friend might be selling, please give us a call. We'll provide a finder's fee. And again, that too will be very discreet, so we don't have to say anything if you don't want to. So we understand the situation. One of the things that we're always interested in is apartment buildings, especially over 100 units, but we will do less than that. Okay, we'll even do some that are like 10 units. I don't like to go too much smaller than that at all. Really, probably 10 is really my limit in terms of. But usually we prefer very large apartment complexes. It's just a little easier, even though it's bigger and it costs more money. It's just easier from a management perspective. I know a lot of individuals that have single family houses, and they rent a number of them out, and unfortunately, when there's a problem, they have to run from one to the next, to the next, to the next, or hire someone for that. And it takes up a lot of the time. Whereas if you have a 100 unit, and you have someone that just is set for that one complex, it's just a lot easier to manage. So 100 unit complex is a lot easier to manage than 100 single family houses. So that's why we like to do what we do. Last week I talked a little bit about attorneys and how fickle I am with them, and I brought up the point about some attorneys are deal makers and others are deal breakers, and I always say that. And we were dealing with one where it was under contract, and the language he was putting in to the letters that came back were very aggressive and talking about litigation, that, if something comes up, we might litigate, and we're just in the transaction of selling the house, and all of a sudden we're getting letters like this. So, that really just set me back in terms of my concern to do the transaction. So we went forward with it, and they had a long list of things that they wanted fixed or changed, and a lot of them were petty things. There was a couple things that we knew we had to fix, and we were going to fix them anyway. And after we came back, we gave in on just about everything. I don't always do that. It depends on what the situation is and how petty they are or not petty. So we did that. Then they came back again and they wanted some other remediations done. And then we had to respond again saying we'll do some of those, but as we stated before, we're not going to do other ones. And one of the things they wanted was the entire basement floor, which had waterproof vinyl tile, and they wanted it all ripped up because there was a little leak in the corner, and we said we were going to put a sump pump, and these vinyl strips, they're waterproof and they look good and they're very reasonably priced, and we said we're not going to do it because it was going to cost just the material probably 2,500, then another 1,400 in labor. So it was going to be a considerable amount of money when we knew where the leak was, but he wanted the entire thing pulled up, and we said no to that, and he pressed on it again. So we were in the attorney review and going back and forth in terms of remediations, and we decided to cancel the contract. It was that simple, and we didn't want to do that. And the individual that we were selling it to, she was a really nice person, and she was a single mom with a few kids, but the tone of the attorney, and I don't believe it was her, it was the attorney, was very aggressive. And we have to protect our company, and for especially future litigations, because they were pressing on warranties, and we can't warranty that no water will ever come into the basement. We just can't. And if I have a contractor, they're not going to warranty the work either. Sometimes situations occur. We had a situation where there was leaves stuck in a gutter, and it overflowed and went underneath the roof line, and water came into one of the rooms. It was dripping through the drywall, and that's just something that happens, and you can't control some of those things. So we wouldn't want to say we're going to be liable or we're having a warranty for that. Certain transactions go very, very smooth, and probably 97% of the transactions go very smooth, and there's a few that do not. And after doing so many transactions, it happens, and it's unfortunate that we had to cancel the contract because I don't want to put it back on the market. It's not in our best interest either, but in the end, it's our best interest because I don't know what this guy's going to do next. He keeps pushing for more things. Every time we respond, it takes him a long time to respond, and it's drawing out the entire process. We had one that we closed a week or so ago. It was just the smoothest transaction possible. The buyer asked for a couple concessions, and we were more than happy to give it to them. And a couple things we said no on, and they said okay, and it was just a smooth transaction. They bought the house. They sent us pictures, them on the front stairs sitting down with their dog. It was a nice experience again. And a lot of times we have these great experiences, but on some of these, it's just really, really difficult. Well, I'm closing out right now on this segment, and I'll be right back. Again, thank you very much. And if you need to call us, you could call us at 973-315-7990 or TemplarCashForHouses.com. Thanks.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick. No high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Be sure to listen to the podcast of the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Find it now at TemplarBuysHouses.com.
Hello, welcome back to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, Managing Partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You could reach us at 973-315-7990 or TemplarCashForHouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. That's one word. So as I was saying before in the last segment about attorneys, and we had unfortunately canceled the transaction, these are the types of things that when we have a client that's selling their house, and we go through the same process, and that's a big benefit to them. So we will definitely give them our opinion. We're not going to be shy about that. It's their decision in the end, but we will give our opinion on certain things. And again, we never like to cancel a transaction, and for ourselves or our clients recommend that. But there are situations where that is a necessary thing to do. When we were on the phone with our attorney and we were talking about one of the things they want is the entire floor pulled up, she said that she only had one other instance where an attorney asked for that, and the seller said no to it. So, again, there's certain things that are just unrealistic, and, they'll ask for these things, and sometimes they'll try to strong arm you into it, and they're trying to do it for their client. But on the flip side, there has to be a realization and a practicality about what they're asking for. And, you're going to paint someone in the corner with certain things, and depending on the individual, they might say yes or no to it. But especially in this market, one has to be very cognizant of houses go very quickly on the market, and there's multiple offers being put in, and there has to be a balance. But I think everything's always for the right thing to do, and it was just right that this occurred the way it did, because it gave us some insight into the attorney and what we could have occurred in the future because of this situation. So I feel very blessed that this did happen, and that happened the way it did, so we know not to go along with this transaction. So I think in the end we benefited from it. And if the seller had so many issues or concerns about it, this probably wasn't the right house for them. And we loved the house, and the rehab we did was really excellent. We had some water come in, unfortunately, but I always felt it was for the best that we found out now instead of after, and we could have fixed it. And I think that was a good thing. But dealing with the attorney and all the roadblocks put up, we did find out this wasn't the best for us. One of the other things I talked about last week, and I just fit it in real quick because I didn't have that much time, was we have a house in four family in Belleville, and we had a little leak, or it was kind of a little leak, in the basement, and the basement didn't get filled up because we had a door that had a gap underneath, and the water went out of it, but it must have been leaking for at least a week. And we finally shut it off, and we fixed that, and then we received our water bill, and the water bill was traditionally about $250, and it was $1,450. And we said, what happened with that? And we called the township, and the township said, well, traditionally your bill is around $250, but we hiked it, the water usage, just in terms of the fee, and we doubled it. So now it's going to be $500. But what exasperated it also is obviously the leaking water and the constant running water. And you don't realize sometimes, if you water your lawn a lot or anything like that, and you're constantly using the water, how quickly your water bill could go up. But the issue I had was that we didn't receive anything in the mail that they were increasing the water usage price, and that's just a pet peeve of mine with the government and municipalities, is that they just do what they just want to do. They do it, and there's no really consequence as a result of that. So I'm not into big government because of things like that. And there's really no recourse for us. It is what it is, and we have to just live with it. And again, I do understand, because of COVID, some of the money was not coming into the townships or to the government and so on and so forth. But a lot of times it's not based on, well, let's see how we could fix it internally to reduce some of that. It was just a blanket, okay, we're going to increase it by 50%. And it's just that simple. And that's the issue when you see public sector and private sector. So what's the difference? Public sector is obviously like the government, law enforcement, the electrical grid. That's all public infrastructure and public type of sector things. And then we have the private sector, which is anyone that has a company, whether it's Amazon or any other company. It's privately held. It's not held by the government. So normally, if there's a shortage, a company needs to either raise their prices, or they're going to have to do some cost-cutting measures, or a combination thereof. And with the private sector, they'll do certain things. They'll tighten their belt, they'll reduce expenses here, they'll look for more efficient ways to save money, and unfortunately sometimes lay off people. Whereas when you're talking about the government, there's usually not layoffs. It's usually, okay, we're just going to pass that information or pass that cost on. And that's a big pet peeve of mine in terms of that. And I know certain individuals work very hard in the government, and we've had some really good experiences. I had one person, we had sent a question out, we left a question on her voicemail, and it was right before Labor Day. And she called me on Labor Day. She came in to the office and called me to answer my question. And you have people like that, or they're very dedicated, and I take my hat off to them. And it's never a blanket statement that, all government employees are this or all government institutions are this, but on the whole, you know, it's more slanted towards one than the other. A lot of, individuals we encounter in townships are just, well, this is what it is and tough luck. And there's no discussion about it, there's no working it out, it's just black and white. And those are the things that just leave a really bad taste in my mouth. We had a CO being done for one of our houses this week, and as a result of it, traditionally there's certain things that the CO process and the township goes out to make sure that the house is livable and they're okay with it. And each township is different. Some just look for a smoke detector and a fire extinguisher. Others look for other things that to ensure the safety of the family. So this one specific township, which I'm not going to name, failed us for a number of things. And it was ridiculous. We failed for a messy garage, which I've never been failed for before. And we had a lot of things in the garage. We have a lot of furniture from our other rehabs because we stage everything. So we failed for that. And I said, well, why are we failing for that? And they said, well, shouldn't the house be, or the garage be cleaned for the new buyer? And I said, yeah, when we leave, we're going to move the stuff. And he says, oh, okay. I said, what do you think, we're going to leave it here? So there's this attitude like, they're there to protect everything and that the buyer has no reasonable statement saying, the garage needs to be clean. And all that is always taken care of in the contracts. And you have an attorney, they look for those things and they usually say it has to be broom swept clean and no debris is left. So you have these government institutions that feel that, people aren't capable of, determining these things. And we failed because I didn't have a shower curtain rod in the bath. And, if it was a rental unit, maybe we should have that. But it wasn't a rental unit. So, again, I've talked to other people and they were like, what? I've talked to a lot of investors and some other people, they were just scratching their head. And it was just ridiculous. And I failed for one of the windows right now are thermal sealed. So there's two panes and there's air between it and it provides some insulation. Those are all fairly standard in almost every house right now. And sometimes the seal breaks, and as a result of that, you get some air or condensation between the windows, and you'll see a little condensation. It's on the inside. So we had a window that was a really odd shaped window, and one of the seals broke, and we weren't going to fix it. It was just an odd shape, and the buyer agreed that they would keep it as is, but we failed for that. And then when I heard that, I was asking what statute was I violating, and they gave us a document, and I still don't see it, and I'm going to be challenging them on it. Usually I don't challenge, and my staff does not challenge the inspectors for the most part, because what they have and what they're saying is, could be reasonable to some extent, and it's for the safety of the individual, but on this situation they're taking the steps way too far, and there's no safety issue with it, and it was an agreed upon thing that we weren't going to fix, and it was that simple. So I'm going to be pressing the inspector a lot on some of these things, and we're not going to give in on them, and we're just going to continue to press it, and they're going to have to demonstrate where these statutes are in terms of that. So that's where we're at with that. Like I said, I really never challenge the inspector, but they've really, on this one, just crossed the line on a lot of things. And, if it was for us or, again, our clients, we stand up for it. It's that simple, especially when it comes to situations like this. And we're not going to, roll over that easily. And, when we do anything for our clients, we take a lot of passion in it. We had one where the buyer came back with, a ridiculous number to remedy a situation. And, we worked with the seller and said, we're not going to do that. And, we came back and they said, we appreciate your passion for our money. And that's it. It's really that simple. And we stand by our clients and stand by what we need to do for them. It's really, when we look at it almost as our money. And that's just the way we do business. They become friends, a lot of our clients, because of this. So I'd like to close out and thank you very much. Please give us a call at 973-315-7990. Have a nice weekend and God bless. Take care. Bye.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick. No high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Be sure to listen to the podcast of the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Find it now at TemplarBuysHouses.com.
The preceding program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision.